Okay, so yesterday we started off, we were in about May of 1775. The Americans attacked Fort Ticonderoga, got the fort, got the artillery. Second Continental Congress met where they made some decisions on forming an army, putting George Washington in charge, and decided to print money. In June, we had the Battle of Bunker Hill, where the colonists worked very hard, but lost because why? Why did they lose, Hunter?
Ran out of ammo.
They ran out of ammunition. Good. And then later on in the summer, the Congress decided they would try to restore peace one more time, and so they sent what petition to London, Katie?
What?
What petition did they send to London?
I didn't put that in there.
Okay, that's all right. Max?
The olive branch petition?
The olive branch petition they sent over to London. King said, no, I'm not going to do that. In March, we got the British, between January and March, the colonists finally forced the British to retreat from Boston. Back in January, Common Sense was published by Thomas Paine. And Common Sense, that pamphlet, what was it about? What was that pamphlet about, Brett?
A call for independence.
It was a call for independence. Thomas Paine was trying to encourage the colonists to break from Britain and call for their independence. And that's where we let off. And so Congress was, meeting still, and they were quite undecided on what they were going to do, because actually a majority of the people, of the delegates, did not support independence because they knew it was treason. They would be arrested, possibly hanged for doing this. So a majority were not. Only about a third of them wanted to actually go forth and do so. Even though that many did not support it, in May they adopted a resolution authorizing each colony to establish its own government. So each colony was able to create its own form of government. And then in June, early June, Richard Henry Lee from Virginia.
Please come to the office.
Richard Henry Lee from Virginia introduced a resolution calling for the free and independent states. Flip it over to 180, and basically was saying we need to break any connections we have with Britain. So Congress took a look at this resolution. They debated it for quite some time. They weren't really ready to vote on it, but they did decide to appoint a committee to draft what? Dev?
Declaration of Independence.
Yes, they wanted to draft the Declaration, just write a draft, and on the committee you had Ben Franklin, John Adams, Roger Sherman, Robert Livingston, and Thomas Jefferson. Right? So this is the committee that was going to draft it. Well, nobody wanted to write it. Nobody wanted to do that. None of them did. So finally they decided upon who to write the document. Who were they going to, who did they choose to write the document? Who wrote the Declaration of Independence? Matthew? Thomas Jefferson. They chose Jefferson to compose the declarations. Two reasons was, one reason he's from Virginia, and the second was he was an excellent writer. So Thomas Jefferson got this little apartment in Philadelphia and sat up there for a few weeks and wrote it. He had Ben Franklin come over several times to kind of edit it because he was good at that. And then it was written. And the reason of Virginia was an important state because they understood that there was no way if they couldn't get Virginia's support, they couldn't move on with independence. And with Thomas Jefferson being from Virginia, that would help get their support. So he went right to work. A couple weeks later, he had prepared most of it. And July 2nd, 1776 is when Congress decided again, yes, we want to do this. So July 2nd is actually you could consider that to be our actual Independence Day. Only reason is because it was officially adopted 2 days later on July 4th. But they did a vote for it on July 2nd and it passed. So really we were independent on the 2nd. But 2 days later is when they officially became proclaimed.
Not the right one.
Not the right Brett Swall?
No, they said Brett Voss.
Oh, I thought they said Brett Swall too. And they came into our class. Okay, so finally it passed, like I said, on July 2nd. And the first person to sign the document was who? Who was the first person to sign the document? Very big letters. Leah? John Hancock, very first person to sign the declaration, and he signed his name very large. You can see it back there. It's right at the end of the document. It's the biggest name signed. He signed it large kind of to be a smart aleck, and he said here, I guess that King George should be able to read that. So